and it needs to be rejected. Now, verse 14, it says, "But each one is tempted when he is carried away and enticed by his own lust." Now, when a temptation comes and it enters into your mind, do this or look here, that's not sin. That's a temptation. That's not sin. It becomes sin when you give in to it. When you give yourself over to it, when you devote yourself to it, when you deliver yourself to do that very thing, that's when it becomes sin. But when it first enters into your mind, look at that. No, that's not temptation. But here's what you need to understand. You can't play around with temptation. You can't play around with sin. It will grab you, and it will grab you quickly. If you're out working in the fields in India or Pakistan, and there is a big cobra, and you've got a machete in your hand, and all of a sudden that cobra rises up, you can't sit there and talk to it. You can't reason with it. It's going to strike in a matter of a second or two. You've got to take off its head, or you've got to flee. You've got to get out of there. You can't play around with it. How many children do we know, at least around that have been around me in my lifetime, that have sat there and played around with poisonous snakes, having a good time, and then all of a sudden they get too close, they get too careless, and what happens? The snake strikes. When you see the temptation, when it appears, don't play with it. Don't meditate on it. Don't think about it. Kill it. Get away from it. Flee from it. We're told to flee from certain sins. You see? Do you remember when Cain was angry? He was very, very angry. And God said to him, "Sin is waiting at the door, and its desire is to have you." You need to realize something. Sin is like a wild animal. And when it approaches, it wants you. It wants to devour you. It wants to destroy you. The Bible says the devil is like a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. So don't play with this. Cut it off immediately. And here's another thing that's very important about sin. Don't go to places where sin is easy. You know, sometimes I've had to deal with men who have been converted out of alcoholism. And they say, "What are some of the things I should do?" I said, "Don't go back to the places where you used to frequent. Don't run with the same guys, and don't go near those taverns and places where you used to drink. Physically stay away from them." This is very important. On the internet and other things, never put yourself in a position where you can be alone with temptation. Build guards around you to protect yourself. You've got to realize how weak you are and how strong the devil is and how strong sin and its lust can be. Now, it says